Welcome in. Locked in. Important Nonsense crew. Steve Bonham, Vishaal Gupta, Mason Cameron. How you guys doing tonight?
Awesome.
It's an,
Fantastic.
it's at least a semi-entertaining Thursday night football game, right? Like Aaron Rodgers has been
Competitive
killing
one,
the
yeah.
clock a lot. It's almost like he doesn't want to be on offense in this game at all. It's really weird. Funny how that happens when you lose all your top
Wonder
receivers.
why.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Real interesting. So we're gonna get into it here, our pick'ems for the week. But I had to mention, of course, to start off the show. I talked about it last night. I'm talking about it again, boys.
Woohoo.
Congratulations, top 2 right now. Top 2.
I'm coming
on the
for you, Mason.
leaderboard.
Watch out.
Let's go. No,
I
hey,
want that top spot. I
that-
want it.
Hey,
I don't-
I'm just happy to be here.
I don't care who finishes first and who finishes second, as long as it's the two of you. That's all I care about.
I got second on the against the spread as well, so I'm coming for both top spots.
Putting us on the map. Let's go.
That's right. So congrats to you guys. If you want to follow their advice, join the Discord. It is the second tier of the Patreon, $3 tier. Come in, ask your questions, get their advice on their lines every week. It's good stuff. And of course, we're playing all of this on Underdog. If you use promo code Nonsense and you're a first-time depositor, they will match whatever you do. So they will double your money, whatever you deposit, up to $100. So there you go. So use promo code Nonsense if you're playing for the first time. Vishaal, what do you got this week?
All right, so I'm going to start off with Kyle Pitts over 66.5 receiving yards. He's been on a complete tear the last couple of weeks. He's finally looking like the 4th overall pick in the draft. He has 18 targets over his last 2 games. He's, the clear top 2 option on that team right now, and I think he's slowly starting to take over Calvin Ridley's top spot, and I think he's just going to be the guy for Matt Ryan in that offense for the rest of the season. And this number feels a little low, and I think it's going to be much higher the rest of the way here. So I'll take over on 66.5 receiving yards. Second, I'm going to take over 102.5 total yards for Jonathan Taylor. Just like Pitts, Taylor's also been on a crazy streak the last few weeks. He's gone over this number in 4 straight games, and now he's going up against a Titans defense that's giving up 4.5 yards per carry, which is 8th worst in the league right now. He's been fantastic. The blocking has been great for him up front too. There's plenty of holes, and he's just been great. And he's, had a good role in the passing game too. He's getting 2-3 catches a game, and he's turning them into productive yardage. So I like this overall quite a bit. And the last one, I'm going to take under 71.5 receiving yards for Mike Evans. And this is purely just a trend play. If you look at the numbers for Evans against Lattimore, this is like one of the craziest wide receiver CB matchups we've had over the last 5-6 years. It's just insane how Lattimore just shuts Evans down completely. Mike Evans hasn't gone over this number against New Orleans since 2018. Over his last 5 games against the Saints, Mike Evans has a combined 138 receiving yards.
Wow.
He's just not getting anything going against Lattimore specifically and this defense. So this is just a pure trends play. I'm going to take the under for Mike Evans this week.
That's a good nugget. I like that. All right, Mason, what do you got this week?
All right, for starters, before they kill me in Cincy, let me just say, the kitty goes meow, and the Bengals look good for the first time in the better part of a decade. So. With that being said, all the same, this line's still too high. This, if you go and look at your local book, you're probably getting a closer to 260 line here for Joe Burrow, and that is under 287.5. Sorry, kind of glossed over that one to start there. Burrow has only hit this line over twice all season, and once was in a pretty close game, and the other one was last week to send a statement against Baltimore. This next game will be neither of those. The Jets are going to be starting Mike White at quarterback, which is an actual professional football player. I did check.
Are you sure about that?
It's a creative player, but sure.
It is not a right. So Mike White's going to be starting at quarterback. They're not really going to have much chance of putting up points, keeping up with this team. And on top of that, they're really not great against passers over the last few weeks. But none of that's really going to matter because the context of both of those games where the Jets were kind of close in both those games to force passers to throw it. I don't see this game being anywhere near close. Last week, Mac Jones did it. The game wasn't all that close, but he took that opportunity to stat boost, get his rookie of the year, resume sharp and looking good. So this game is just not going to be close. It's going to be a run it out. It's going to be over in the first half. So under there, we've got A.J. Brown over 70.5 receiving yards. So after a little bit of a slow start, he's finally found his stride. And as a Julio Jones apologist, this is a little bit hard for me to admit, but A.J. Brown is the wide receiver one, period. There's no conversation here. 15 grabs for 224 receiving yards in the last 2 weeks, and not even a sketchy burrito could stop him last week. This week, they're at Indy. And if you watch our IN Friday Night Inside show, you're well aware of the Colts' woes via our friend Jordan McDonald. This team is shaving years off poor Jordan's life. The secondary was already bad, and a slew of injuries have made it barren. They've allowed a wide receiver to reach over this line one game, in all but one game this season. And oddly enough, it was the last time they played the Titans, which they had no Brown and no Jones. So even last week in a torrential downpour, they allowed Deebo Samuel to go for over 100 yards receiving, and he couldn't get one damn carry for my rushing prop, but all the same. So yeah, over. I like it a lot there. I think that the Indy secondary is so bad that you just can't miss there. It's just been like that all season. And lastly, I will go down with the ship. The last time we saw Mike Williams, admittedly, the Chargers got folded by the Ravens and absolutely annihilated my week 7 in virtually every category, or excuse me, week 6 in virtually every category. Right. But I don't scare easily, and Williams' breakout season has been pretty fruitful so far. So I am going to keep going back to the well here. Williams is just 2 targets off the 2 targets off the team lead this season. Sorry, he has 22% of the total team targets, and that's a pretty big number no matter what team you go to. This week they play New England, and New England may have looked good against the Jets, but the Chargers are a different beast entirely. The Pats struggle to hold down wide receivers. They're allowing the 10th most yards to wide receivers in the league this season. And to put that into perspective, the Pats D let Davis Mills rip them apart with some guy named Chris Moore. I'm sure Herbert and company aren't going to have any issues.
All right. I like it. I co-sign. All right. This is what I got this week. So first of all, I'm going with Josh Allen under 320.5 for a very long time. For basically the entire first half of Josh Allen's career, it was death, taxes, and Josh Allen against Miami. And those were just guaranteed things. Now, in the last 2 games, the issue has become for Josh Allen, not that Miami has somehow figured him out. No, it's that Buffalo's defense is so good that they are blowing Miami out of the water, and Josh Allen is basically taking the fourth quarter off in the last 2 games that they have played. I see no reason for that to change this week. This is a big risk play by me because Miami is allowing 311.6 pass yards per game, and this is total yards at 320 for Josh Allen. So he very easily could pass for over this number, and you're mixing in rush yards as well. But like I said, my theory behind it here is just that they will be in such control of this game that by the time we get to the fourth quarter, Josh Allen is drinking blue Gatorade on the bench. And that is my prediction. Exactly. Blue Gatorade, if you want to just write that down as well. But yes, he's drinking the blue on the bench, and Miami is just crying on the sidelines while they look for a new quarterback, apparently. Deandre Swift over 52.5 receiving yards.
Tell the people about Deandre Swift.
Yes, he's a pretty good. I don't know if you've heard about this guy. He's quite all right. Over 52.5 receiving yards. Philly has allowed 49.7 receiving yards per game to running backs so far this year. That is the 9th worst in the NFL. Swift himself is averaging about 56 receiving yards per game. He has a minimum of 6 targets in each of his last 5 games. And I got this list here. Players with a minimum of 40 receptions and a 20% target share on their team. You've got Cooper Kupp, Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, DJ Moore, Travis Kelce, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Waddle, surprisingly, Justin Jefferson, Jacoby Myers, Terry McLaurin, and Deandre Swift. So there you go. Wide receivers, Travis Kelce, and Deandre Swift. That is your list. So he is very involved in the passing game. Again, this is a little bit of a risk here because he has 2 long 40-yard receptions, which it's boosting some of his receiving numbers for the year. But overall, Philly's defense has been bad. The Lions are going to be in a game that they're going to be competitive here, and their passing offense goes through Deandre Swift. Trevor Lawrence, over 260.5 pass yards, is my last one. We talked about this on the show last night. He has looked better as of late. He is averaging 253.8 yards over his last 4 games. So after the slow start, he has played well. They're coming out of the bye. I think they're going to be able to scheme and play well in this game against a Seattle defense that has been terrible so far. They are giving up 294.1 passing yards per game. That is the 6th worst in the NFL. Through the first 2 weeks of the season, like I said, Lawrence was really struggling. He only had a 50% completion rate, but since then, 65.9% of his passes have been complete. So he is checking down more. He is getting those underneath passes and the yardage and the yak to put those numbers over the top. So I think this is a good number for him that he should be able to achieve fairly easily. So those are our picks for the week, guys. What do we got here? Vishaal, what is your lock?
I got to take the Mike Evans under this week. Again, the numbers are just too strong against him. These two teams played each other 3 times last year. Evans had 69 total receiving yards. So now they're asking him to get 71 in just 1 game this year. No, I don't think it's going to happen. I'll take under on Mike Evans.
All right, Mason, what are you going with?
I'm going to go ahead and go with A.J. Brown over 70.5 receiving yards. I think that the matchup there is really what tilts it for me. Because, God, they're just so bad. I'm so sorry, Jordan.
It's completely understandable there. And I will go with my guy, Deandre Swift, hitting that over against Philly. This is going to be a selfish game for me. I'm going to actually tune into that game way more than I normally would. So many shares of Jalen Hurts, as you know, of course. I'm heavily invested in Kenny Gainwell. That gets to cash this week. And Deandre Swift, it's just, it's all my guys from the preseason in 1 game. Whew.
And truth be told, Steve beat me to this Deandre Swift line, by the way, for all the good people at home. So I'm on board too. I appreciate it.
100%. All right, well, I appreciate you guys' time. Again, congrats on the top 2 so far. We're through 7 weeks. Keep up the good work, boys. Appreciate it. And we'll be back next week to do this all over again.